2025 to 2033 is going to be a wild freaking ride. So buckle up your seatbelt and get ready for the roller coaster. On July 7th of 2025, the planet of Uranus moved into the sign of Gemini, the sign of the twins. Now, this is a big freaking deal for a whole lot of reasons. So first and foremost, Uranus is one of the outer planets in astrology. The outer planets have a lot to do with collective shifts and changes, especially when they change signs, which happens very rarely. For example, Uranus stays in one sign for about 7 or 8 years at a time. We get very comfortable with that kind of energy as a collective, and then the planets change sign and we don't know what the heck is going on. Secondly, Uranus specifically is the planet of chaos, the planet of anarchy, rebellion, completely unexpected change. If you think you know what to expect, wait for Uranus to come through, and then you won't know what the heck is going on. Now, what exactly does Uranus moving into Gemini mean for the collective? We've talked about how Uranus is a planet that brings about absolute change for the collective and the individual. Now, let's talk about what Gemini represents, and then we will blend the two. Gemini rules things like technology, so expect absolute change in technology, especially when it comes to forms of communication, because Gemini is all about talking. Think about changes in social media, thinking about changes in the way that we message each other or connect with one another. Gemini also has a lot to do with the transport of goods and services. Gemini is ruled by the planet of Mercury, and Mercury is actually where we get the word merchant, mercantile. So the market has to do with Gemini things. So the transport, the travel, the transfer of goods and services, the logistics of business might change. Also, speaking of travel and transport, I am definitely expecting some changes when it comes to air travel. So something going on with planes, perhaps, maybe flying cars. Definitely self-driving cars because we're already on that road. Gemini also has a lot to do with children, youth, and especially education of youth. So I am definitely foreseeing some massive changes in the education system. It's about time. Another thing that Uranus in Gemini points to is changing of borders, boundaries, and immigration. Every time this has happened in history, there have been changes of alliances, allegiances, immigration. And lastly, when you have the planet of anarchy and rebellion moving into an incredibly restless, mutable, flexible, multitasking, multifaceted air sign, expect restlessness. This is part 1 on my take as an astrologer of Uranus in Gemini. Stay tuned for part 2, my friends.